तिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तिशक्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदताम् ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहैतुकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 10, verse number 32. We are reading the prayers of the two sons of Kubera, Nalkubar and Manigriva, after they were liberated from the Arjuna trees. So they came out intact as it is, as they were 100 years ago, right? No transformation, no old age, no long beard, nothing. So they prayed, they were quite happy. When you have some power or some facility, you don't value it if you get it without much effort. Then when you lose it, then you understand the strength or power or value of it. So mind is very much impressed by the abhava, not by the bhava. So that's why in Nyaya they have to accept abhava as a separate padartha. Otherwise there was no need. 6 were enough. Why they have to have the 7th? Actually in the Nyaya Sutra, the only, Vaisheshik Sutra, there are only 6 which are mentioned. Abhava is not mentioned. So it has been deduced later on because of its importance. So it's very important, and there are 4 divisions of that. Pragabhav, Pradhansa Bhav, Atyanta Bhav, Anyonya Bhav. So this was none of those 4. Right? It was not Pragabhav. Pragabhav is when you don't have something and something comes new into existence. You don't have a gulab jamun, you make one. Before it was made, there was a Pragabhav. Then it was made, it came into existence, Pragabhav is lost. Pradhansa Bhav is when you have something and it is lost. Anyonya Bhav means one thing is not the other. Book is not the table and table is not the book. Atyanta Bhav means when something is not there, like air does not have a form, so there is an Atyanta Bhav. There is one more Abhav, which is called Samayik Abhav. Means temporary Abhav. I have the book here now, so there is no Abhav of the book. I can remove it and keep it here, and there is Abhav. So this is called Samayika Abhav. So they had Samayika Bhav. They were already Manigriva, Nalkubara. Then they became trees, and there was Abhav of their form. Now they got their form back. So they were so happy. So sometimes your power, your strength, your position has to be taken away. Then you understand its value. So now you are a human being. You don't understand the importance of it. You don't understand what a great facility is that we can actually use our mouth and tongue to speak. Imagine you become a cow tomorrow or a dog. Then all you can do is bark. You become so limited. If you want to say, I want water, what can you say? If you are thirsty, can a dog say, I want water? No. If you are hungry, you cannot say. Or a baby, you can think of baby, don't go too far away. We have all been in that state. So, but now we think that it's just normal that we can talk effortlessly, we don't even think about it. So, then we misuse it, we don't understand its importance. When we misuse it, then there is abhav again. Then it is taken away. So the speech is meant gunanuvarne. So vachansi vaikuntha gunanuvarnane. Spoken about Ambrish Maharaj, that his speech he used in describing the wonderful qualities, character of Vaikuntha, Sri Krishna, Bhagavan. So that's what it is meant for. But we waste in talking useless topics, which is called prajalpa. So prakristena jalpa, prajalpa. So you know there are 3 types of katha, vad, jalpa and vitanda. So jalpa is when you just want to talk your talk. That is called jalpa. And if you go on doing it too much, that is called prajalpa. So that is the gross misuse of the facility which is given to us. So it should be utilized for what it is actually meant, because we got it by grace of God. Otherwise you cannot explain how the speech evolved. By theory of evolution, you cannot give any satisfactory explanation how you got it. If you actually study just the system of how the sound is produced in the mouth of human mouth. It's quite amazing. And how many parts of the body are involved in it. We think we speak only from the mouth, actually even hips are involved. Even the pelvis, head, so many. Chest, front side, back side, belly, everything is involved. You know that very well. Nasika, ura. So all this is very complicated, how this, when you want to make a word, how it actually, the same air can manifest. Like you put air into the flute and so many notes come like that. So this is a musical instrument. This human body is actually a musical instrument. If you study it, the vocal system, just like a very perfectly designed musical instrument. So it is actually meant for doing Sankirtan Yagya. So this is what they are doing. That's why you see in Bhagavatam again and again so many prayers come. Already we have seen the prayer of the Devas, then prayer of Vasudeva, then prayer of Devaki Devi, right? Now we are seeing the prayer. Just in 10th chapter, we are already on the 4th prayer. So all these prayers signify that this is how we have to utilize. At least we read Bhagavatam. So we make use of our vocal system to praise Krishna. So let's come to the prayer, the stuti. Grihyamanais agrahyo vikarai prakritair gunaihi konu vaharhati vijyatum prakasiddham guna sambritam. So he says that konu arhati vijyatum prakritair gunair vikarai grihyamanai tvam. So who can actually understand you? So why? Because you are agrahya. So all our prakrita, vikara, guna, these all refer to prakriti and ahamkara, and then the guna are the indriyas. So all these things they cannot attain because they can only see things which are material, grihyamana. So although our mind, our senses, our ahankara, our buddhi can understand material objects, but it cannot understand Krishna because he is called agrahya. So agrahya means it is not possible to perceive him through these senses. Therefore it says konu iha arhati vijyatum, who is there, who is capable of knowing you. Prakasiddham, because you are Praksiddham means you are Swam Siddha. So Swam Siddha means Swam Prakash, which means that you can be known only by your power, your potency. If you give someone power, if you give some potency to somebody, like he told Arjuna that now I will give you Divya Chakshu. So his form which he manifested was also there before. It's not that before it was not there. There was no Praga Bhav on that form. And later on when Arjuna said, please close this, he closed, then it did not become Pradhansa Bhav. It is eternal. But he was not able to see it because he did not have the grace of Krishna. So when he got that grace, then he saw it. So this is the thing, Swam Siddha, Swam Prakash Vastus can be seen on the power of those particular objects. So, guna sambritaha, and you are covered by your own gunas, your own characteristics, your own potency. Krishna also says this in Bhagavad Gita, Naham prakasa sarvasya yoga maya samavrita, that I am not available to everybody, I am not illumined to everybody because I am covered by my yoga maya. So even if he is present here now, we don't see him unless he gives us the ability to see him. Otherwise there is nobody who can see. So that is the meaning of guna samvrita. So tvat kripa eva tvam drishyase vastutas tvam adrishya eva iti ahat. So you can be seen only by your own grace. So if he manifests himself, then only we can see him. Otherwise he is present everywhere all the time, but no one can see him. So this is what they are describing. So grihyamaneis tvaya drishyamaneir vikareir buddhindriyadibhir drashta tvam na grihyase. So these objects which are known to us, the instruments which we have, so you cannot be seen by them because you are the seer of all that. You are a grihya. So na grihyase. Why is that? Because they are prakrita. So prakritair gun karyais tena prakritair gun karyar buddhindriyadibhi tvam drishyevati bhava. So you cannot be seen by material senses. The word guna also means senses. Guna gune suvartante iti matva na sajjate. So in Bhagavad Gita Krishna uses the word guna. There the word guna is used. Both guna means indriya and gunesu is the sense objects, the indriya vishaya. For both the word guna is used. So prakritair gunai na grihyase. So you cannot be seen with the senses which are material, because material senses can only perceive things which are material. This is the principle, that what is the object or the instrument made of, it can perceive only that. It cannot perceive something different. So eyes are tejas, there we studied in Sankhya. So therefore it can see rupa, which is tejas, comes from tejas. Ghrana is parthiva, so it can sense smell, which is the characteristic of Prithvi. So senses are prakrita, therefore they can only sense material things, not aprakrita. But this implies that if we want to see him, then we need aprakrita senses. So that is the corollary. That if he is not seen by prakrita, that means aprakritair gunkaryer buddhindriyadibhi tvam drishyaye vaiti bhava. So you can certainly be seen by the non-material senses. That is the meaning. Nanu aprakritatvad jiva janatu. So then someone says, well, jiva is aprakrita. And some people also think that there are also senses in the jiva. They think that jiva has got rupa in it. Right? This is also one concept, that jiva has got body also, siddha swarupa. Siddha Deha, and it also has got then senses. If it had got body, then body has senses. So why it cannot see then? So he says, that's not true. Konu arhati. So naiveti ahatu. No, they say it is not possible. Koniti. Praka siddham. Tvadīya tatastha shakti vilasatva jivasya apitvam karanam. So jiva is only the tatastha shakti. So therefore it cannot see without the grace of antaranga shakti. Because Bhagavan's Swarup Shakti is antaranga shakti. So only by that he can be seen. So bhaktya mam abhijanati. Krishna is known only through bhakti, which is the antaranga shakti. So therefore jiva also cannot know unless he gets bhakti. So he says tvadiya tatastha shakti vilasatvat. So jiva is the vilas of tatastha shakti. It is part of tatastha shakti. So it cannot approach antaranga. So, and he is tvam karanam. You are the karana of cause of the jiva also. So when it is said, mamayvanso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana, then one can say, well, he says he is my part. So being part, he must also have antaranga in it. Right? So what would you say?
So if jiva is tatast, and to see the empirical, the jiva needs senses, right? And to see Swayam Bhagavan, the jiva needs antaranga senses. But the jiva has intrinsic potency to see itself, because it's right.
How?
I was reading in Tattva Sandarbha. Right?
Yeah, but it cannot see without senses.
But isn't jiva conscious and of the nature of consciousness? So
Yeah, but now this you go in deep sleep. Are you conscious of yourself?
but that's because we are unaware of our nature, right?
Yeah, because you have been disconnected with your senses. So even to be aware of yourself, you need this. Manasa eva anudrashtavya. In the Upanishad it says only by the mind you see.
So the jiva can see itself through tatast. So is there a tatast indriya through which the jiva can see itself, or do you need antaranga?
No, there is no tatastha indriya. There is no need of that. Because either you are in the material world or you are in the spiritual world. There are only two modes. There is no third one. Third one is Brahman. There is nothing. Therefore there jiva doesn't see itself. It's like you don't see yourself when you are in deep sleep. So therefore it says guna sambritta iti gunatitastu sa tad bhaktya kathanchit tvam janati. So you are covered by guna, but if you go beyond guna, then you can be seen. Guna samvrita is here, I think, applied for the jiva. The jiva is guna samvrita. Can also apply to him, but depends what you take the meaning of guna. So his take guna here is the jiva is covered by guna. So jnanena avritam jnanam tena bahyanti jantava. So you are covered by avidya. Then you cannot see. So therefore to see you have to become gunatita. Right? So avyabhicharane bhakti yogin. Then only you become gunatit. Mam cha avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevte. Sagunan samtitya. Then only you can go beyond guna. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So then he says, Bhaktiya kathanchit tvam janati. Only through bhakti one can know. Okay? Any other doubt on this? So what is the reply if someone says that we are part of Krishna himself says, therefore we also have the antaranga?
Ansha there means Shakti and not part.
Hmm?
The word Ansha there means Shakti, not a part.
Yeah, Amsa. So, but your Amsa of Bhagavan, so then you must also have his Shakti, Antaranga Shakti, because you have Amsa.
You are one type of Shakti and you are possessed by somebody who has many different Shaktis.
You are
So
what?
So the Jiva is one type of Shakti and the possessor of the Shakti is Bhagavan, who also has many other types of Shaktis. So Shakti cannot possess another Shakti. It's Bhagavan who possesses all Shaktis and Jiva is one Shakti that belongs to him.
So we have to remember this clearly, this point, because people confuse. Logic is like that, and you can give logic. It's like you have hair on your head. So that is your Shakti, your Amsha, you can say. But hair does not have the qualities of other parts of your body. Right? Your nose can smell, the eyes don't smell. So just because it is part or Amsha does not mean that it can do everything. It's only one part. So this is important to remember this. Otherwise people derive wrong conclusion from that statement. Tasmai tubhyam bhagavate vasudevaya vedhase atmadyota gunaischannaya mahimne brahmane namaha. So tasmai tubhyam bhagavate vasudevaya vedhase. These are everything is in the fourth case here because of the word nama. So whenever you see nama, then it's in fourth case Krishna nama, Vasudevaya nama. So Vasudevaya nama, Bhagavate nama, Vedase nama, Tubhyam nama, Tasmai nama, Atma Devata Gunaischanna Mahimne nama, Brahmane nama. So I bow down, or we bow down, because there are two of them, that you who is Bhagavan. So Bhagavan means who has got Aishwarya, Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya shashya Gyan Vairagyasya Sannam Bhagayati Guna, who has all this. And Vasudevaya. So Vasudeva means son of Vasudeva. Vasudeva also means who is in everything. So Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Samahatma Sudurlabha. And Vedase, you are the creator. And Atma Dyota Gunaischanna Mahimne. So your Mahima, your glory, this is covered by Atma Dyota Gunai, your own gunas. And you are Brahman, you are the greatest. So we bow down to you. So ato durgayatvat kevalam pranamata tasmai. So because you are Durgaya, you cannot be known, so then we just bow down to you. So you are beyond our capacity, our qualification to know you. So all we do is we just bow down to you. And Vedase Vishwakartare. So Vedasa means that you are the creator of the universe. And Durgyatvasya Karanam Gun Sambrita iti. So why you are difficult to know? Because you are covered by the gunas. So Gun Samvrita was said in the previous verse, now he is bringing that here. Because here also it says Atma Devata Guna is Channa. Channa means covered. So Samvritatva Muktam Eva Punarapi Spashyate. So Samvrita was said earlier in the previous sloka, and now it is further expanded here, that Atma Devata Gunahi. So Atma Devata here means those are Swam Prakash. Our qualities, they are not Swam Prakash, they don't belong to us, they are coming from somewhere else. So they are Agantuka, incidental. Now they are there, tomorrow they may not be there. So therefore it says these your qualities are Swam Prakash. They are natural to you and you are covered by those qualities. Mahimne. So that's why people do not know. Like Krishna is there, he is a small boy. So Yashoda thought, now I tie him down and then I do my work, he will not go anywhere. But then he uproots the trees. So if she knew this beforehand, she would not tie him. Right? She says, he's going to do more nonsense now. Right? Cause more trouble. If you tie a calf and then the calf uproots a tree, right? You tie the calf to the tree, then calf pulls the tree down. So it becomes a bigger problem. So she thought that he will be now peaceful for some time, right? And I can do my work. So he caused more trouble. So he is personification of the trouble. Yeah, he did not sit down quietly even 10 minutes. As soon as she left, he walked. At least should have relaxed for some time. So he did not do that. So this is meaning that Atma Devata Guna, that his qualities are his own qualities, but they are Channa, and they are covered. So that's why he is called Durjaya, that he cannot be known. And only through devotion he can be known. Now from devotion also you say, well, that means Yashoda does not have devotion. Right? We are saying that he can be known by bhakti. So Yashoda is a bhakta, bhaktin. So why is that she does not know? So she knows according to her bhakti. So her bhakti is that she is the mother. So therefore she knows him as the child. That's why she was tying him down. So she cannot know him that he is God. But that's not the type of bhakti she has. Bhakti has got a lot of variety in it. So only the type of bhakti you have, that's the type of God you will know. Don't think that Bhakta will know everything. He has become Sarvagya, like some big scholar, philosopher. If there is a need, yes, that can be revealed to him, but it is not needed. And she also doesn't want to know that he is God. Then how she is going to cook for him? Then the neighbors will also bring food for him. The whole village will come, like they were worshipping Govardhan or Indra, everybody was bringing food. Right? If he is known like that, then everybody wants to feed him. So she doesn't want that. So therefore it is being made clear here what it means that he is not known, Gun Samvrita. So Atmana Tvaya eva Dyotante iti. So Atma Dyota means that you are known only by you. It's like if you want to see the sun, then you see the sun by sunlight only. Not that you need torchlight to see the sun. No, it is not possible. When at night you can have any amount of torchlight, you don't see it. So sun is seen only by sunlight. Tat prakasher gunas channo mahima meghairiva raver yasya tasmai. So you are covered by your own qualities. And he gives an example. So just like the sun becomes covered by the cloud, which are also product of sun's energy. The sun's energy only which uplifts the water from the ocean and then covers the sun. So like that he is covered. And then when he wants to remove the cloud, he can remove. And then we can see. यस्यावतारा ज्ञायन्ते शरीरेष्व शरीरिणः तैस्तैरतुल्यातिशयैर्वीर्यदेहे देहिष्व संगतैः स भवान् सर्वलोकस्य भवाय विभवाय च अवतीर्णो अंशभागेन साम्प्रतं पतिराशिषाम्. So he says that yasya avatara jnayante sharireshu asharirina. So he says that you have various types of avatars, and they avatars taistair atulya atishair virye dehishu asangatai. So they cannot be known by people who have material body, because they perform various wonderful activities. Atulya atishay virya. They have so many very potencies which is incomparable to anyone else, and with that they perform activities. So those kinds of activities cannot be performed by any human being. Dehishu asangatai. Asangatai here means asambhava, not possible. So now, but at present, you have come here and become visible to us, in front of us. So sa bhavan sarva lokasya bhavaya vibhavaya cha. So for the welfare of the whole world, Sarvaloka, you have now appeared here. Avtirno amsbhagena sampratam patirashisham. Because you are the master of all blessings. And you have your appearance here is for the benefit of the world. Sarvalokasya bhavaya vibhavaya cha. For its prosperity, for its well-being. So ansbhagena means you have appeared with your amsas. Amsan bhajti iti ansbhak, who has got all the amsas. All this analysis, if you remember, was done by Jiva Goswami in Krishna Sandarbha. These types of statements which seem like as if he is only a part. So he means along with them, you are here. So satyam parmeshwara evam bhuto bhavti eva yuvam tu mameva parmeshwaram kena lakshanena bruvathe tatrahat. So as if Krishna is saying that yes, what you are describing, certainly this is true of Parmeshwara. But why are you saying this to me? I am not that. So yuvam tu mameva parmeshwaram kena lakshanena. What is that you have seen in me that you think I am Parmeshwara? I am not Kurma, Matsya, right? I am just small boy. I am not having 4 hands. I am not carrying chakra or anything. So what makes you think that I am Parameshwara. Because that's what people think, God has to be something different than human being. Right? He has to do something extra. So yasya avatara matsadeya sharireshu matsyadi jateshu madhye jayante anumiyante. So he says that these are all your avatars. Yasya avatara means they are not saying your, but means whose avatara, that's what you are. Yasya will go along with sa. That the one whose avatars are Matsya, Kurma, etc. Sa Bhavan. That's what you are. So it means you are the avatari Purusha and they are your avatars. So that's why we are praying to you like that. So his avatars come in various types of shariras, bodies, as Matsya, Kurma, Vamana, Narsimha, etc. So they are known, but no one can understand them. Asharirinaha prakrita sharira hritasya tavakai dehishu jiveshu asangataira ghatmanai viryai prabhavai. So your body is not material. A sharirina does not mean that he does not have a sharira, but I here is in the sense of bhinna. Tat sadrishyam bhavasya, tad bhinnatvam tadalpata. So negation is not here in complete negation, but in the sense of difference. Like we said, there is a bhava called anyanya bhava. So that is the sense of here, that your sharira is different than this sharira, which we know. So that is the meaning of asharira. It's not a denial, otherwise why how can he talk to him if he has no sharira? Cannot talk to somebody who is ashariri. Right? So God speaks, but he has no body. So from where the sound comes. So therefore he says that prakrita sharirrahitasya tav kai deheshu jiveshu asangatai. So who can understand you, because you perform all these wonderful pastimes, because you have this prabhava, virya, this potency, which is not to be found in the jivas. Jiveshu asangataira ghatmani. It's not possible in them. Sa bhagavan avataro khalu eva bhavasi. Sa bhagavan avatari khalu eva bhavasi. So therefore you certainly are the avatari. Because if these are your avatars, then you are the avatari. So that's why it says Sa Bhavan, that you are that avatari.
Is it Sab Bhavan or Sab Bhagavan?
Bhavan. Because the sloka says Sa Bhavan. So, Hasti Sahasrena api dur utpatanayor aveyor arjunayor arjun samojaso balyalilo udita bala lavena api utpatanat rajjulu khalayor api tadrisha shakti arpanat iti bhava. So now they are explaining how he is different. So he says that we were two Arjuna trees. We were now, because their trees are lying down there. So he says even if 1,000 elephants came, they would not be able to uproot them. So hasti sahasrena api durutpataneva aveyo.
Is that true or are they exaggerating? Are Arjuna trees actually very strong? Or?
I don't know how if elephant can uproot. Maybe 1000 is a lot. Only thing is that how will they combine together? I mean, 2-3 elephants can try, but how 1000 will try? They will push each other. Or you have to tie them together, like what you call that? Tug of war. And then you have to tie a rope, and then all the elephants together, and you have to synchronize them. They have to be trained that you have to pull when you say 1, 2, 3. So since that is difficult, so that's why it is. But they will all apply different time and cancel each other's power. Otherwise Arjuna tree is not that big. So then he says that anyway, if you don't believe like this, we are like Arjuna. Arjuna sama aujasav. We are powerful like Arjuna. So it's not easy to make Arjuna fall down on the ground. He has his Gandiva. He's going to shoot arrows. What 1000 elephant will do? He is called Atirathi. Atirathi means, Maharathi means who can fight with 10,000 people simultaneously. Atirathi, no limit. Any amount of people can come. He can handle.
One person, 10,000.
Yeah, that's the meaning of Atirathi. That's their expertise. If people are shooting at him, he will cut everybody's. This arrow. So recently there was some video, somebody was showing some trick like that of shooting an arrow, hitting at something, then it goes and then it hits something. So from that you can understand Arjuna. So therefore Arjuna or Arjuna Samaujasav. So but what you did, Balya Leela Udita, Balya Lavena Api Utpatana. So just like Balya Leela, like a child will uproot a mushroom. Right? How much power it takes to uproot the mushroom. So like that you uprooted. And at the same time, you are bound by your mother. Rajju Ulkalyorapi Tadar Shakti Arpanatiti Bhava. So you are bound by the rope with this Ulukhala, the mortar, but you uprooted us. So who can understand this? That's showing a contrast. So bhavaya bhutyai vigato bhavo yasmat tasmai mokshaya. So bhavaya, there are two words used here, bhavaya and vibhavaya. So the way this bhudhatu is very interesting, it comes in so many different meanings. So bhava also means janma, bhavbandhana, right? We say this is bhavasagara, ocean of birth and death, material world. That is also meaning of bhava. Bhava is also name of Shiva. Bhava also means bhuti, which means opulence. So like what you call vibhuti also. So bhutyai. So you have appeared for the opulence of the people here. So jatite adhikam janmanavraja shrayate indra shashvadatre. So much Indira. Indra means opulence. So then vibhavaya, what is the meaning of vibhavaya? Vigato bhavo. Now the meaning of the word bhava here is birth. So vigata bhava means no birth. So the first bhava meaning is opulence, second is birth. So vibhavaya means for no birth, which means moksha. Tasmai mokshaya. So therefore you have appeared here to bring prosperity in this life, and after death, moksha. So Nishreyas and Abhyudaya, these two words are used. Yato Nishreyasa Abhyudaya Dharma. Dharma is that which gives you Nishreyasa. Nishreyasa means moksha and Abhyudaya means prosperity. So this is how these two words are used here, Bhavaya and Vibhavaya. Because he is Dharma also. So Ansha Bhagena, Ansha Anshena, Brahma Rudradina. So Avatirno Amsha Bhagena. So Amsha Bhagena, Amsha and Bhaga, okay, both mean same. Bhaga also means Amsha or part, right? And Amsha also means part. So Amsha Bhaga can means part of part, or can have so many other meanings. So that's what his take. So means you have appeared along with Brahma, Rudra. So Ashisham Sarv Kamana Nam Patir Data Yasa Eva Ityartha. So you are the Patir Ashisham. You are the giver of everybody's desire, fulfiller of everyone's desire. Sarv Kamana Nam Patir Data. So Pati here is in the sense of giver or one who supplies. So Namaha Param Kalyana, Namaha Param Mangala, Vasudevaya Shantaya Dunam Pate Namaha. So you are, again they are just reciting various names. So you are Parama Kalyana, all auspiciousness comes from you. So auspiciousness means where there is peace, friendly nature, no fight, no misunderstanding. So that comes from you. Because if everybody becomes devotee, then there is friendliness, no jealousy. All the problems come because of the ahankara, envy, jealousy, then we want to take revenge from others. So devotees don't do that. Therefore, he says you are the Param Kalyana. Namaha Parama Mangala. So Mangala also means all obstacles are removed. And Vasudevaya Shantaya. You are Vasudev and peace personified. Yadunam Pataye Namah. And we bow down to you, who are the master, protector of the Yadus. So somehow they are referring to Krishna more like from Mathura, not Yashodanandan. Twice they have used the name Vasudeva, and now they are saying Yadunam. So Paramam Kalyana Yasmat Tasmai. So you are Param Kalyan because all auspiciousness flows from you. Yes, Swayamcha Mangal, Param Mangal Swarupa. And your very form is all auspicious. We bow down to you. So Anujani hi no bhumans, tava anuchara kinkaro, darshanam no bhagavata rishirasid anugrahat. So he says, please know us. So finally they are introducing themselves to him. Please know that we are the servant of your servant. So this is very intelligent way of introducing. So Tava Anuchara Kinkaro. So your Anuchara can be Shiva or can be Narada, can be of light. So this way they are establishing a relationship. And it is very important because they cannot directly say we are your servant. So they are going through another devotee, and that is very pleasing to Krishna. So in Adi Purana he says, one who says I am your devotee is not my devotee. One who says I am devotee of your devotee, Dasanudas, he is my devotee. So darshanam no bhagavata risher asid anugrahat. So we have attained your darshan by the grace of Rishi, that is Sri Narada. So they are also remembering him, that it is by his grace, who is your devotee, your servant, that we have been able to see you, otherwise who can see you? They already said that you cannot be seen, you are Guna Samvrita, Atma Devata, Gunaschanna Mahimne. So, Anucharasya Naradasya Kinkaram. So, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur glosses on the word Anuchara. Anuchara means a servant. Here he glosses on it as Narada. So, therefore, they are saying that we are servant of Narada, and it is by his grace that we have this possibility to see you. So we'll stop here if there is any question.
Babaji, I have a question.
Yes.
In the previous verse, where Kalyana and Mangala are spoken of, I observed that these words seem to be used quite interchangeably or with equal sense throughout Shastra in general.
Yes.
So perhaps etymologically speaking, is there some way of differentiating some subtle connotation that they don't share?
No, I mean Magi Dhatu is there, this Mangal, Magi Dhatu Alach Pratyaya. Then you have Kalyan, Kali Dhatu. Kali Dhatu, there are two Dhatus in Sanskrit. They are called Kali Hali. What do they say? Like they fulfill all your desire. Sarva Kam Dugha. You can take any meaning from that. It's like the word Kalayati. Already it came and he took some very strange meaning of that. Bhaj is also having a lot of varieties like that, but Kalis especially. So Kalyan is used in the sense of something good happening, and Mangal you can take when two words having a similar sense, then obviously you have to make some difference. So one you can think that avoiding obstacles, and other is bringing some good things, Kalyan.
Here in this verse, he says, Yadunam Pataye Namah. I was confused because I thought that Pati, we did it in Harinamamrita Vyakaran, that Pati is like starting from, I mean, it's fourth case, no?
Yeah.
Starting from third case, it's not declined like Hari when it's not in Samasa. So should be Patye. So is this an acceptable form, or I couldn't see commentators saying
Na Sakhir Hari Sangya Patistu Asamase.
Yeah.
Right? That is the sutra.
Yeah, Na Sakhi Hari Sangya.
Na Sakhi Hari Sangya Patistu Asamase. When Pati is not in Samas, then it is not Hari Sangya.
Starting from Ta.
Yeah. Tadi Sarveswara Pala. So you have to take it like that. So it should be Patyai, right? Pati plus, it is not Hari Sangya, Pati for Sakhi. For Sakhi we had Sakhyai. Right? Sakhya, Sakhi, Pyam. Sakhi be Sakhye.
Yeah.
So it should be Patye.
Okay. So
yeah, you just think it is Yadu Pataye.
And then I had a question. So
Generally they should comment. He did not comment on it. Maybe someone else would have commented.
Then I would be interested in. So recently came the Bhakti Bite, something like that. The sadhu is not elated while being praised, or because of praise, and also not disturbed in criticism. And I have two questions on this. So, first question would be how to interpret then if someone, a bhakta, rejects labha, puja, pratishta, getting gifts or honor, out of the mood of I'm not the object of worship, Krishna should be, I'm just Krishna's dasa or dasi. And should I understand that the person is maybe internally, could be that the person is internally actually not disturbed and it's just showing it to teach me? Or
I don't know what's your question.
so, okay, so if a bhakta is getting, some worship or some honor, but is not elated, but the opposite gets, shows rejection of it and doesn't want this. So how should I interpret this?
Interpret means he doesn't want it. What is the interpretation? Why you have to interpret? I don't understand. You want to worship somebody and he says, no, I don't want. So what is the interpretation?
So I thought that the proper way would be to neither get disturbed nor, elated. So, but if someone rejects it, does it mean that the person is disturbed, or is there a difference between disturbance and just not I don't want it?
Yeah, but it depends. I mean, it's not necessary. Sometimes you are given respect, you cannot even reject it. But sometimes you can say, well, I don't want it. What is the problem with it? Sometimes you take it because, it's a protocol. Otherwise other people may feel disturbed or they think that you are just a snob.
And
so main thing you have to understand is the internal feeling. People can also make a show of rejecting or not taking it, but actually inside they're thinking, I want it. Yeah, it is true also. You can dress shabbily, but you actually want to dress nicely. So main thing is your inner state of mind. That is most important. Otherwise you can take worship and not be affected, or not take worship and you are still attached to it. So what is Krishna is saying is the internal feeling. How you actually act in the society, that depends. You go somewhere, you are invited, they want to give you a garland. Now you cannot say no. So they are waiting, they want to respect you, take it, but don't be attached to it. That is the idea. Don't feel that, okay, I'm worshipable and I'm great.
And is there a difference between the Bhakti Marg and Gyan Marg here? That the statement applies more to the path of Vairagya, and whereas in Bhakti there is so much, variety and rasa and exchange. So I was thinking of, to give an example, we heard in Chaitanya Charitamrita the interaction between Jagadananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu. Yeah, that Jagadananda brings some costly perfume, offers it to Mahaprabhu. He says, no, I don't want it. I'm a sannyasi, I cannot accept. Give it to
because
Jagannath.
that sannyasi is not supposed to have it.
Yeah, and then he throws it on the ground and says, no, I don't want it. This is only for you.
Yeah.
And
otherwise everybody else will start bringing it. Yeah, that is the problem. If you would have accepted, then next time Sivananda Sen is also bringing. Then, Advaita Acharya is also bringing. Everybody will bring perfumes for him. So he set a standard that no sannyasi, I was a sannyasi, I am not supposed to have it. Simple. You should know this. So he should have known this to begin with and not given that. So in his case, it's an acceptable fact that a sannyasi does not do that.
And then on the part of Jagadananda, that he then gets into
Yeah,
this
but he also has to know this, that he should not do something which goes against. After all, why is he bringing? For the pleasure of the person, right? Or for your own pleasure?
for his pleasure.
For Mahaprabhu's pleasure. So then he should have known that he will not be pleased with it and not do it. So, but then he has too much love for him, which is transgressing everything. So because of that love he is bringing, but Mahaprabhu says no. If he was in a private, maybe he would take it out of love and affection, but he is also a person. When you are somebody like Mahaprabhu, then everybody is observing every breath you take, what you do, and this sets standard for everyone else. So then, Mahaprabhu took it. When I was in ISKCON, so people used to drink 7-Up. But they will not drink Coke or Pepsi or anything. This was completely banned. So 7-Up, because once Prabhupada drank 7-Up in a plane. So for Prabhupada actually it doesn't matter, if he takes 7-Up or he doesn't take 7-Up. So he took it. But these people, they actually want to drink. So now they got the excuse. Well, Prabhupada drank 7-Up, So 7-Up is all right. But Coke we don't take. So this is how things get carried away, or they are misused or not understood. So somebody who is in that position, they have to be very careful. He was in a plane, so he thought, nobody is watching me, doesn't matter. It's not that he is hung up on taking. Maybe he just thought, let me try what it is, Who knows what was in his mind, He's not attached to drinking 7-Up. But people who have drunk it, who like it, they were so happy. He took it, So now we can take it. So therefore Mahaprabhu, if he would have taken, then 50 other sannyasis will tell them, bring me, because Mahaprabhu took it. They will even order it. And then it will become a law. There is a sampradaya in Odisha. Where is our friend? Did not come today. So it is called Panchasakha Sampradaya. So they were also staunch follower of Mahaprabhu. There are 5 people. Panch means 5, Sakha means friend. But they do certain things. Now I forget, I read a book which we don't do, and this is because Mahaprabhu said, yes, you can do it. Either it is about eating something, or I don't remember exactly. But something they do which in our sampradaya is not allowed. But for them it is normal. Why? Because Mahaprabhu, they asked Mahaprabhu and Mahaprabhu said yes. So that is a praman for them. So now we cannot say, so this is another problem comes these days, that people will say, no, Mahaprabhu tell them, why we cannot do this? Is how the deviation. No, he told them, but not to us. Why he told them, he only knows.
My question was more on the part of Jagadananda, that he is not in this mood of, okay, I'm getting now rejected, I'm a sadhu, if it's gold or stone, I don't care. So but this is because he has this intense love for Mahaprabhu, and
Yeah,
now
they
when it
have
comes
their
to us,
they have their intimate relationship.
yeah. So now when it comes to us, yeah, this is not expected that, you know, when we deal with each other, that we react in such a way. But
And then therefore you have to understand that if you are like him, you can also react like that, but you are not. So now you cannot take his example because you are not in that level of relationship.
so therefore, practically speaking, for someone like me, it's I'm supposed to practice this
First you have
equanimity.
to get out
Yeah.
of the conditioning.
Mm.
And once you get out of the conditioning, then it doesn't matter what you know. Nirgrantha api urukrame. But the problem is that we are in the conditioned state and then we try to imitate them and misinterpret. So then it becomes problematic. So any other question?
Babaji, I had one small reference question.
Yes.
Earlier, you referred to a statement in the Upanishads that was manasa eva something about the jiva needing a mind to perceive.
Manasa eva anudrashtavyam.
Anudrastabhya.
Yeah. You find it?
I'll have a look.
Okay.